Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a pernil, which is essential on every Puerto Rican's table during the Christmas season. This is something that we make to celebrate. Basically, it'll be at birthday parties, it was at my baby shower, anything. But it has to be around during Christmas or any kind of pork, whether it's in pasteles, it doesn't matter, we need pork for Christmas. So I want to show you how I make it. I've made it with this recipe a few times. I've been making it like this for a few years. A long time ago, like before I even started this YouTube channel, I wanted to document my family's recipes. I wanted to write them down with measurements so that I could recreate them and they would taste the same way that they make it, and so we can pass it down. So a few years ago, I set out to write down the measurements for this, and this is what I came up with. And I have here an 8-pound pernil, and I've made this recipe with an 8 to 10-pound pernil, and it always works out. So I wouldn't recommend buying a bigger pernil. If you're gonna use my recipe, just stick with an 8 to 10 pounds. It'll always work. So we're gonna need that. In the supermarket, you can find it as pork shoulder. In English, it's called pork shoulder or picnic roast. So what you want is a bone-in, skin-on pork shoulder. We have here some adobo, just traditional adobo. We have some salt. You can use any kind of salt. I tend to use kosher salt. I have some sazon, some sofrito, and I'll link my recipe in the description box. And I have some mojo, which that's like the stuff in the bottle. You can make your own, but I always buy it. And I have some plastic bags. I'll get to this in a second. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start to season it. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix the salt and the adobo just so that it's easier. And you wanna evenly distribute it just on top and bottom. If you're worried about how much salt this is, don't be, because it comes out tasting really good. This is a really big piece of meat and it needs a lot of salt. You don't want this to be under seasoned because it won't taste good. So flip it on all sides and season it. And then you want to just pat them on. As you get them on, just pat the seasonings into the meat. Just get your hands in there. So the adobo and salt is on, so we're gonna add the sazon now. And this is gonna give it some really nice color. And the same way you added the adobo and the salt, add the sazon, just flip it over and rub it in. Pat it down with your fingers. I'll go ahead and add the sofrito, and you just grab it and spread it all over. This is a messy job, but it's gonna be worth it, trust me. So just add it everywhere. It gives it such good flavor because remember, your sofrito has onions, garlic, cilantro, peppers. So it gives it a lot of good flavor, not just salt. So now is when the plastic bags come in. So from this point on, I like to take my pork shoulder and I put it in the bags and I add the mojo. The reason why I do that is so that the marinade sticks as closely to the pork as possible, because if I were to pour that in right now, it's just gonna sit on the bottom of the pan and it's not gonna do much. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in now. Now that the pernil is in the bag, go ahead and add the mojo. And that's all the seasonings in the mojo. Make sure it gets in there. So now what you do is just rub that in. So let that seep in and tie the bag. And try to get as much air out as possible. That's gonna help the seasoning, the marinade, be as close to the skin as it can. So this is gonna marinate for 2 days. You're gonna place it in your fridge, and the next day you're gonna go ahead and flip it over so that that mojo now touches the other side of the pork. So this video is gonna take a few steps, but I'm gonna let this marinate for 2 days, and in 2 days I'll show you guys the next step. So it's been 2 days now since we seasoned our pernil. So what I've done is I've removed the foil from the top. I took the pernil out of the plastic bags, and you wanna bake it with the skin side up so that as it bakes, all that fat will baste the meat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the oven at 300 degrees, and I'm gonna leave it overnight. It's the best thing because you go to sleep and you wake up with pernil and you don't heat up the house. So that's gonna take about 7 to 8 hours, and when it comes out of the oven, I'll show you guys the next step. So it's the next day and the pernil is fully cooked. I cooked it on 300 degrees for 7 hours. And I took it out and I let it rest on the counter for several hours so that it would be cool enough to handle. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna show you the next steps and give you a few more tips. So I have here a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and we're gonna take the cuero off, the skin, so that we can cook it so that it can get crispy, because right now it's not crispy at all. I like to cook it separately from the pernil to achieve that. So what you're gonna do is you just start to peel it, and you can use like a spoon or something to help you out, and as you can see, it peels off really easily. So just go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna put it on the parchment paper. I have it here, and then I have the skin side down, and this is my next tip. You want to remove a lot of the fat that's on the skin before you cook it again, because this is moisture, and moisture and crispy don't go together. So all you do is just take a spoon and scrape it off. It comes off really easy too, and just put it in a bowl to throw away. I have my oven preheating on broil on the medium setting. My oven for broil goes high, medium, low. If yours goes just high and low, put it on the low side so that it takes longer, because when you broil things, it usually happens really fast. So I got most of the fat off the skin, so now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna put it in the oven to crisp up. Now the cuerito is cooking. I'm gonna go ahead and remove a lot of the fat from the top of the pernil also. I don't care for it. So again, you just scrape it with a spoon and discard it. This is, I feel like, my most important tip. You do not want to get rid of the juices that are in the pan, because we seasoned our meat really well. But if you were to like take a bite of the middle of the meat, it's still going to taste bland. But this juice right here has all those seasonings. So with 2 forks, you're just going to pull apart the pernil and you're going to let it soak in those juices. And that also helps it not, prevent it from getting dry, even though it's really not dry at all. But, usually it's going to sit, around as you eat, and people serve themselves more. So this is going to prevent it from drying out. This is what makes this pernil amazing. You mix it with the juices. So patiently with 2 forks or a pair of tongs, just pull it apart until it's completely done. Finished pulling it apart, and this is what it looks like now. You see how the meat almost completely absorbed all of those cooking juices? That's what you want. And as you're pulling it apart, you can go ahead and discard the bone and any extra pieces of fat that you may find in there. This meat is super juicy. And it tastes amazing because you mixed it with all those juices. Now, the cuerito, I cooked it for about 4 minutes. Then I flipped it over, I cooked it for another 4 minutes. That's gonna vary with your oven because every broiler is different. Just know that that's about how long it took me to cook it. Just keep an eye on it, don't walk away from it. So when it's cooked, you're gonna take it out of the oven and you're gonna let it cool completely, and that's when it's gonna be crispy. You see that? That's what you want to hear. That's how you know you have good cuerito. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to transfer it to my serving dish. And what I like to do is I like to take the cuero and I cut it up into little pieces and I place it on top of the pernil so whoever wants them can have some. And that's pretty much it, guys. Remember, marinate the pernil for 2 days. Cook it low and slow. shred it, put it back in the juices, and cook the cueritos separately. Those are my tips for the best pernil. I hope you guys try it. The recipe will be on my website, eatingitupblog.com, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.